understand that. We got to get this done. We're going to get it done, and we're going to fight to create the kind of America. Let America be America again. Let it be that dream that we used to be. Let it be the place where every man is free. Cornel West.
Danny Glover in the house. Danny Glover in the house. You in the house. Give it up for yourselves. Give it up for yourselves. I want us to just be quiet just a little bit and just look around at each other and see how beautiful you are. All the different colors and all the different classes and religions, and just look at yourself, because we have to constitute the leaven in the loaf. And if that loaf is getting stale, and it's very, very, very stale, what happens? That's right, when people begin to turn on each other and scapegoat the most vulnerable rather than confront the most powerful. And when we confront the most powerful, we're not hating on anybody. We just hating injustice. We just hating prejudice. We just hating envy. We just hating structural domination. We just hating white supremacy, male supremacy. We just hating not treating our Arab or Jewish or Muslim brothers and sisters the way they are. We hate white supremacy. You can be a proud white brother and sister and hate white supremacy, because you can be moral, you can be ethical, you want to be committed to something good and something right and something just. Oh, let's just be honest about it. This is not just an ordinary political campaign. This builds on the legacy of Martin Luther King Jr. It builds on the legacy of Dorothy Day. It builds on the legacy of Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel. It builds on the legacy of Edward Said. It builds on the legacy of all of those Americans who have reached the conclusion that we must allow suffering to speak, and when it speaks, we begin to be like a jazz orchestra. And what is it about jazz? First, you got to find your voice. Don't be part of the echo chamber of the corporate media. Don't be part of the echo chamber of the mainstream. You got to find your voice the way Dizzy Gillespie found his voice growing up in South Carolina. And when you find your voice, you bounce off the voices of the past, of the dead. We come out of a tradition. Everybody in here is who they are because somebody loved you, somebody cared for you, somebody attended to you. You got to be true to the best of your grandmother and your grandfather, the best of mom and dad and aunt and uncle, the best of those who taught you something about integrity and honesty and decency and generosity and getting out of your narcissistic, hedonistic bubbles, getting out of that little narrowness in your neighborhood and be connected to humanity, something called democracy, something called equality. You all know what I'm talking about. That's what Bernie Sanders' campaign is all about. So when he says, not me, us is not some abstraction. Us comes from those who have shaped us, molded us in such a way that we can straighten our backs up and take a stand for something so much grander than us. Thank you, my dear sister. Something bigger than us. So don't let the corporate media think this is just another candidate out of the 30. No, No. We got the real thing. All of them are running now to his positions. We were here 4 years ago. We were cutting against the grain. Oh, yeah. Don't let anybody tell you that somehow he's just one candidate among other candidates. No, we talking about a statesperson, not just a politician. We tired of the ordinary garden variety politicians. We know what politicians do. Most of them are just thermometers. They got to check and see what the polls say before they have their convictions articulated. No, with Bernie Sanders, we got a thermostat. A thermostat's going to shape the climate of opinion. It's going to be ahead of things. It's going to be in the moral and spiritual and political vanguard because it's committed to justice. And we understand that justice is what love looks like in public. That's right. So if you on the Bernie Sanders train, it's a love train. It's not just narrow politics. It's a love train. You just listen to the Isley Brothers and the Caravan of Love. That's what this campaign is about. And when you love folk, what does that mean? You hate injustice, no matter who it affects, no matter what color. Not only just here in America, we're concerned about the humanity of those in Afghanistan and Yemen and Pakistan. We're concerned about the humanity of those in Russia and Ethiopia and Cuba and Venezuela. And anytime there's injustice, we raise our voices. Oh, yes. This is a moral and a spiritual issue. I don't know how much time I got. Is he coming in? But Brother Rose here. Oh, yes. Let me hand this over to my dear, dear Brother Rose. This brother right here on the cutting edge of the concern of humanity all around the world. He's one of the conductors on the love train. My dear brother, the brilliant congressman from Silicon Valley who's challenging Silicon Valley even in his commitment to not just technological innovation but social justice. Give it up for our dear Brother Rowe, Brother Rowe, Brother Rowe. We love you, brother. I'm sorry to go on, man.
Give it up for Cornel West, Dr. Cornel West. And our co-chair, Senator Nina Turner. We're going to be brief because we've got the senator ready to come. But I want to say two things. Senator Sanders' message is very simple. Instead of getting into these endless wars, we need to start investing in our country, in healthcare, in education, in infrastructure. And he believes in all of you. He's a movement politician, as Dr. West said. He believes it's not just him, but it's all of us who's going to bring that change. And the environment and the climate change. He's going to have a huge plan on climate change. Let me tell you the second thing. They say, you know, Senator Sanders, he's polling, all the young people want him. And what's the challenge? They say this as a negative. Well, he's got all the support of young people and people in their 20s and 30s and 40s. You know why? You know why? Because young people are idealistic. Because young people believe in a better future. I think it's a positive that Senator Sanders is appealing to the people, the young folks who believe in a better world, a world more at peace, a world with more justice. And the young folks are going to inspire everyone in this country to elect Bernie Sanders the next President of the United States. Now let me give it to our great co-chair who has gone everywhere across this country for the senator, who's going to introduce Senator Sanders, the great Nina Turner.
Thank you. Don't go anywhere, Brother Rowe. I'm going to be, we're so glad that all of you are here at our Bernie backyard bash that's turned into the Bernie convention bash. But I want to quote Congresswoman Barbara Jordan when she said these words, that what the people want is very simple. They want an America as good as its promise. So if you want somebody that can't be bought, then Senator Bernie Sanders is your candidate. If you want somebody whose only special interest is you, and you, then Senator Bernie Sanders is your candidate. If you want a candidate who his deeds matter than any initials behind his name, then Senator Bernie Sanders is your candidate. If you want somebody that is on a moral journey for justice, social, economic, racial, political, and environmental, then Senator Bernie Sanders is your candidate. If you believe that the system is rigged and you need a champion that says to Wall Street, I'm coming for you, then Senator Bernie Sanders is your candidate. And if you believe in creating a better world right now in our time and for generations yet unborn, then Senator Bernie Sanders is your candidate. And sisters and brothers, can I get you to raise one hand for yourself and another hand for somebody else? And with these hands, we will elect Senator Bernie Sanders, the next president of the United States of America.
You know, thank you all for coming out. And when I listened to Danny Glover, when I listened to Dr. Cornel West, when I listened to Representative Khanna, and when I listened to Senator Nina Turner, I know that with people like that fighting the good fight, there is no way we're going to lose this election. Now, I don't know how many of you were here earlier today when I spoke, but I made a point that last week in Charleston, there were some folks from a group called Third Way. And Third Way is the corporate wing of the Democratic Party, and they get most of their money, I believe, from Wall Street and other financial interests. And they said at that meeting in Charleston that Bernie Sanders was an existential threat to the Democratic Party. You like the idea that we're an existential threat. All right. And what they really meant is that we're doing things a little bit different than other candidates. What we know, and I want you to hear this, over the last 45 years, think about how much has changed in America, but know that today, the average worker in America is making, in real inflation accounted for dollars, exactly what he or she made 45 years ago. Got that? All of the technology and all of the increase in worker productivity, and people are going nowhere in a hurry. Over the last 30 years, and this is unbelievable, this is data that came from the Federal Reserve. Over the last 30 years, the top 1% have seen a $27 billion increase in their wealth. The bottom half of America have seen a $900 billion decrease in their wealth. So we heard a lot of speeches over the last 45 years. We heard a whole lot of talk, but at the end of the day, the very, very wealthy get richer, and almost everybody else is getting poorer, and that situation is even worse for the African American community, because we are seeing outrageous levels of disparity in this country between whites and blacks. Somebody explained to me how we can have a situation where the average white family now has 10 times more wealth than the average black family. How do we explain that infant mortality rate in the black community is 2.5 times higher than in the white community? And in the year 2019, women, black women who give birth are dying at rates that only exist in third world countries. How does that happen? How does it happen that black women are earning 62 cents on the dollar for doing the same work as a white male? All right, so we got a lot of work to do. We have to deal with overall income and wealth inequality. We'll no longer accept 3 people owning more wealth than the bottom half of America. We will no longer accept racial disparity in this country. And I'll tell you why why all of us are considered to be existential threats. Because we are sick and tired of the status quo, and we want real change in this country. And we are an existential threat because we have the guts to take on the insurance industry and pass a Medicare for all single-payer program. Health care is a human right, not a privilege. And it is not too much to ask that when you get sick, you're able to go to the doctor because you're a human being in the United States of America. And we have the guts to take on the pharmaceutical industry that's ripping us off every day. And we're going to cut prescription drug prices in half. And we have the guts to take on Wall Street, and we're going to break up the big banks. And we have the guts to tell Wall Street and the 1% that they're going to start paying their fair share of taxes so we can make not only public colleges and universities tuition free, not only significantly increase funding for the HBCUs, but we are going to forgive student debt in this country. We have, for the first time in the modern history of this country, a younger generation that if we don't change it, and we intend to change it, will have a lower standard of living than their parents, more in debt, lower wages than their parents, unable to buy the house that they desire. So brothers and sisters, let us take as a source of pride that we are an existential threat to the people who own America. And while Trump and his friends in South Carolina and elsewhere are trying to divide us up, we are going to come together, black and white and Latino, Native American, Asian American. We are going to come together, and we are going to create an economy and a government that works for all of us, not just the people on top. Thank you all very much. Okay, if people would like to do a selfie, anybody want to do a selfie? We're going to work on a line right here. Okay.
All right, hold. Line is on that side. The line is on this side. The line is on this side.